Hi guys, my name is Matt Ackerson. I'm the founder and CEO of AutoGrow.co, as you may already know. And in today's article, which this video is based on, we're teaching you 11 ways that using industrial and organizational psychology can help you to dodge bad hires. In other words, put people into the right positions. As Jim Collin has written in many articles and in some of his most famous books, it's about getting the right people in the right seats. And that book is Good to Great if you want to check it out. Love all of Jim Collin's books in general, highly recommended. But again, it's about dodging bad hires and getting the right people into your company and getting the wrong people out. First off, what is IO psychology, which is short for industrial organizational psychology? IO psychology studies individual and group behavior within an organization. In other words, how do people how people enter the organization? How do they perform once they are within the organization in terms of their job, their role, their responsibilities? How do they interact with other team members in terms of collaboration, teamwork, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. For this article, we're discussing how industrial organizational psychology, or IO, helps businesses with your hiring process, basically. So this applies to you whether you're a startup, whether you have 20 people, or you're even potentially a much larger organization, because 74% of employers say that they've hired the wrong position, the wrong person for a specific position or positions at any given time within their company. It's common. And the reason why it's common is because as a company, you need to keep functioning, you need to keep the wheels turning. And if there's not someone filling that role, taking on that responsibility, well, then the wheels can either grind to a complete halt if you're a small team, and that's really difficult to grow when you're in that position. It can hold you back and even, push you backwards where you can, be growing and then you don't want that. Or again, it's just going to slow things down. Complaints can happen from customers and cause a chain reaction. And this is what managers and leaders are most worried about. So they say, okay, I'm just going to get someone to fill this position, a warm body, if you will, so that we can at least keep growing. But then oftentimes those can just turn into really bad decisions in the long term, because those people may not be necessarily the right fit, and they're fulfilling the role, but they could have a bad attitude, they could not have the skill set, or some combination of this and other things. I can tell you, in the beginning of from the end of 2020 leading into the beginning of 2021, we tripled in like 3 months. The business tripled, because we had all our ducks in a row and everything was just, cranking on all cylinders. And unfortunately, we had a few holdovers from, who should have probably been moved out of the organization much earlier, but we just kind of, kept kicking the can down the road, as the expression goes. Hate that expression. It's way overused, especially in politics these days. But we didn't take responsibility sooner than we should have. And so once we saw this huge growth inflection, and things just became worse because it was two of the wrong people in the wrong seats. One was a project manager, another was a project manager and a strategist. And these people, one didn't have like a right fit in terms of the work ethic and just missing details, nice person to work with overall. In terms of the attitude, generally positive and enthusiastic. And the other person was just unfortunately incompetent in terms of his or her position with the company, not naming names for obvious reasons. But, then it was at that moment that we had to make that super painful choice. It's like, okay, do we continue to live with the poison, so to speak, or do we do an amputation of the finger, because I don't want to be too dramatic, and just get it out, right? So that we can hopefully regroup and figure it out. And we did, and it was difficult, month or two, because our hiring system just was not up to par at that time. And so we had to just really scramble to get it up to par, to get enough applications in the door and find people who were a better fit. And we did, and we learned a lot from doing that. But it's that pain of going through that experience, and that, honestly, that relief of when those people who are not a right fit, getting them out the door, that you realize, number one, this decision shouldn't have been made in the first place, because one bad hire can actually, translate to a large percentage of the team being unhappy. You want everyone to be working in harmony. So anyway, as I said, it's a common thing. It's a common mistake. 74% of employers have reported hiring the wrong person for a specific position. And the cost, as I kind of alluded to in that brief story anecdote, the cost of replacing an employee can be up to 200% of that employee's annual salary, just when you quantify, the knowledge, that person and the time cost and the opportunity cost, and then the time to actually get the new person in the door and get them trained, get them up to speed, because people aren't, every business is different. They need to learn the systems. They need to learn the procedures. So for these reasons, it's imperative to really take some of these lessons to heart in terms of IO psychology and what it can teach you to get your hiring process right, so that it's going to get you the right people in the door and the wrong people out. So a few tips for how to actually implement this. And I encourage you, go read the full article where we give you 11 smart tips to help you dodge those bad hires in the first place and get the right people in the right seats. But here are 3 right off the bat for this video. So the first way is IO psychology is used, in performing a job analysis, And this is where you take a deep dive into understanding what makes the best employees tick. In other words, you could call them subject matter experts. And what you'll do is you'll compile the knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics such as personality that make this specific individual who is successful thrive within the role that they're in. And IO psychologists, they collect this information. You don't need to be a psychologist to do this. You just want to kind of take this tip that I'm applying, right, and apply it as best you can within your organization, and you will benefit from it. So IO psychologists, they collect this information through interviews, observation, questionnaires, survey, and otherwise just sitting down with the people. You have to be too formal or structured about it, especially if you're tight on time, as I know many of you are. You can get feedback from colleagues and superiors about the, how that person is working, that subject matter expert, as well as, just to go a bit deeper in depth. And when the staffing company Adecco, for instance, when they employed this tactic of job analysis, they were able to increase job placement for their client companies by 42% in 1 month for a specific large manufacturing client. Basically, what this reminds me of is Noah Kagan, who's a successful marketer and entrepreneur who I respect. He said in an interview a long time ago, Noah said, you want to look at your Google Analytics in terms of your traffic, your conversions, your results. You want to look for the peaks in the data. When did traffic spike? When did conversions spike? And what was happening on that day, or what did you do on that day that would have led to that result? He said, scale the peaks, meaning you want to observe, what caused that? And then just do that again and again and again. Basically almost as if you could control that peak. You just take your mouse, drag it all the way across, and your results would be up across the board, right? That's the idea of scale the peaks. So in a similar way here with IO psychology, using job analysis, you're sitting down with your best people and you're figuring out, what makes them tick. You're looking for almost not a direct clone, of course, but someone who is very similar to that. Maybe not in terms of all the knowledge, because obviously they have to be trained up, but certainly in terms of, aptitude, maybe some ability, and overall temperament and attitude towards the work in general. So here's the second way, second tip for you to consider in terms of applying IO psychology to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off. The second way is writing the perfect job description. Over half of all job seekers say that the quality of a job description is influential in their decision to apply for a job. You don't want to scare them off, and don't attract unqualified candidates by leveraging your subject matter experts. You want to gain insight from these top performers to use their helping hand to craft those job descriptions. So what we talked about in the previous tip. Basically, you want to get their input on your job descriptions. That will help you attract the best job seekers. So for example, for one sales position, an IO psychologist would perform the job analysis on the top earners, and he or she would try to understand what personality traits make them really excel in their roles, what are their key motivators, and what skills and knowledge make them successful in the sales position, for instance. That data will then be reflected in the edits that you make to the job descriptions to ensure that the most quality candidate, the highest quality candidate leads are actually applying. Using a generic gut feeling for a job description could lead to unqualified candidates. So it's just more of a more of a scientific process being applied to something that is often based on gut feelings, because that's what you want to stay away from, because those gut feelings can often lead to bad hires, the wrong people. But kind of a personal story anecdote, this is something that we're always optimizing within our hiring funnel. And what we try to apply is the same principles that work for us in terms of sales funnels. So we have a set of principles that I've developed called the 11 Laws of Sales Funnel Physics. You can go look up the article on that. I really encourage you to learn that, because it's applicable not just to sales funnels for selling and growing, but to hiring as well. And one of the laws is the law of alignment. And that's basically the principle at work here in this tip, where basically, you're looking to align the expectations of what is written in the job post with what the best candidates are actually looking for, what appeals to them, and aligning that also with what work they're actually going to be doing. So you want to get that aligned across the board, and then you're going to get the right people applying. So the third tip relates to leaders and finding and hiring using IO psychology when it comes to leadership within your organization. So finding great leaders, it's not easy. It can be a much longer process compared to some other roles within your company. And leaders, they're going to get a lot of complaints from subordinates. The most common issue is that prevents effective leadership is not recognizing employee achievements, with 63% of workers citing this as an issue in a recent Harris poll. Workers have a variety of other complaints too, such as confusing directions and not talking to employees often enough. There are several leadership styles out there that IO psychology delves into. There's transformational, charismatic, and inspiring people like Steve Jobs. There's also authoritarian leaders, some of which maybe you might say, if you've read Steve Jobs' biography, maybe he falls in this category at least a little bit, that are no nonsense. They're very clear cut with their guidelines. And leaders using a leader-member exchange style focus on building lasting relationships with subordinates in unique ways, which helps to reduce turnover within your organization, because it's not just about getting the best people in, but it's about retaining your best people for the long term. Because you as an organization, and maybe even you personally, depending on how big your company is, you're investing a lot of time into people, and it can feel terrible when they say, "Hey, I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice. Thanks for all the free training and the education. I'm going to take that on to the next company. Bye-bye." You might feel like that's not cool, but it is what it is. And, you have to take responsibility for trying to address whatever is maybe causing people to churn, to turn over, to leave your organization. Not every style in terms of leadership is a right fit for your needs. And IO psychology application of these tips will help you decide which is the best style. But that's something to consider, again, for more of a leadership-oriented position that you're looking to fill. So again, read the full article. If you like more tips on the subject matter, we have 11 in total. I just went over 3 in this video. And speaking of hiring, autogrow.co, it helps you to avoid people headaches, hiring headaches, because when it comes to actually getting work off of your plate and helping you to execute on your marketing, that's our value proposition. So we help you to get your marketing work done for you fast, okay? And with high quality and without any of the normal people headaches in terms of hiring, because hiring is a really big challenge. I mean, you're gonna have to hire no matter what, but if you want to fill certain gaps within your organization, if you're an agency and you want to, to actually scale your agency, and hiring and retaining people, it can be a really big challenge. Just sign up for AutoGrow, because we can help you to fill those gaps in terms of your creative output, and we're going to deliver for you fast and with quality. And it costs less than, with our most basic package, it costs less than, not less than, but it costs exactly $20 a day on our least expensive package. And you can sign up. We have a $7 for 7-day trial. We're actually going to be launching a totally free trial very soon. And it's really awesome. You get 12 skill sets in total, again, for offloading and delegating all your marketing work, all your marketing projects, ads, copy, design, development, content writing, just to name a few. Again, there's 12 in total. We are beta testing 2 right now, like video production and motion graphics, okay, and voiceover talent. It's amazing. Again, AutoGrow is like your Swiss Army knife for getting quality marketing work done and done for you fast without typical hiring headaches that you may otherwise have to go through. So go check it out at autogrow.co today. All right. So till next time, stay focused and keep auto growing. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.